Good morning, good morning, good morning to you all. I pray you all up in your glory on this Friday. Happy Friday to you all. And let's go into our Father's Prayer before I get started. This is the most powerful prayer that you can ever pray to begin your day, to keep protection over your life. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day, Lord, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thou you are the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. Pray that God protect you and your loved ones throughout the day as you travel to and from to your destination. Watch over your children. Watch over your jobs while you at work today as you traveling on the highways to get to work or traveling, just traveling, taking a family vacation or going away. Whatever you do this day, just ask God to be a hedge of protection over you. We have a lot of stuff going on out there right now. We know the ICE raid is going on. They even go into baseball stadiums and wherever they can find people that are not supposed to be here in the United States of America. Everywhere is just about on shutdown unless you out there going to work, like I said, and handling your business for the day. So if you're not doing any of those things, it's best thing to do is stay home, do your gardening, clean your house, clean your closet or whatever, but do as much as you can to avoid being out there during these ICE raids and also these protesters that are out there causing unrest, what they call unrest. So until all of this stuff passes through, the best thing to do is stay safe. That's why I said the best prayer you can get is an Our Father's prayer. That we start our day off before we leave our home. I have to get out of here too, so I just wanted to come with you all this morning. This video is going to be a little lengthy, but I got this video. The person name is Poetic Flacco. Poetic Flacco did some great research around this R. Kelly being plotted for this R. Kelly plot against his life while he's right now incarcerated. And he also went over some things with his platform of talking about some of the incidents that took place till it led up to now. His relationships with both his allegedly girlfriends, which was at the time Azarel Clary and Joycelyn, and how the feds were able to flip Azarel. So he gave some great research and details here in this video. So I just wanted to come and share it on my platform on the Casey McDaniel channel. Poetic Flacco is this platform. If you want to go and watch this video on his platform, you can. Just in case I won't be able to finish watching it because I have to get myself together and handle some things that pertain to my new job that I'll be starting soon. So I still have to get some paperwork out there. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to come and give you more stuff on this R. Kelly, what's going on around R. Kelly's legal matters and his health and the endanger of his life. You know, as I look back at all of this, because I only got like halfway through to the video, so I said, let me hurry up and share this with my platform. And I look back at it, and he's showing, there's going to be some things shown in the clip. I like Joy. And the reason I titled this video, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number and We See What We Want to See, is because R. Kelly, besides his age, at 58 years old, and at the time he was dealing with these young ladies, he was more like a little younger. R. Kelly never really went to college, and he's just always been just in the world of the entertainment world and music. And he started really young when he got into the music world. So his kind of like his there was some trauma in his life, of course, and being growing up in poverty. I wouldn't say poverty, but just growing up being that he only just finished maybe high school, his mind is still kind of like on a high school level. If some of you will understand what I'm trying to say, he still thinks of himself, even though he's getting older, he's still functioning in his mind, still as if he's a young man, maybe right now, maybe in his 30s. That will be his mind, his growth right now. In his mind, he's like 30, even though he might be 58 years old. And that's why I say age ain't nothing but a number, and we see what we want to see. So when he was with Azrael and with Joycelyn, he was a 20 something year old man. Mentally, he's 20. He's a 20-year old because he was still very young when the industry got a hold of him. He really didn't have any real strong male influence around him to push him towards other goals in his life. So he had to survive at the time that he was growing up the best way he knew how and use whatever gifts and talents he had to survive in this growing up in Chicago, Illinois, in the ghettos of Chicago. Um, he was raised in a more matrimonial, a natural household with his mother, and of course he had his brothers around. What were they doing at that age? They probably was not that much of an influence for R. Kelly as well. And then other things he had to see growing up in the household with his mother. If that all those things are described in his in his when he went to trial, and his attorney at the time, Jennifer Bongine, went over some things that happened to R. Kelly when he was growing up, things that he had experienced growing up in his home life. So they didn't take none of those things in consideration of knocking this man with a sentence of 30 years in jail and adding some more things onto his sentencing. And I thought that was kind of like being unfair in a way. When I even read the document, even if all of this stuff was true that was supposedly had happened, I still find that was kind of like a miscarriage and some sort of kind of injustice on his life. Just like I said about these so-called notorious killers, they catch them when they real young, and that's the only thing they know how to do to survive. And there's no way of them trying to change because that's all they know. And if certain parts of the brain components weren't used, those things shut down to open up to be able to change them and to rehabilitate them to become normal, considered normal, that murder is not good. If that's all you know, that's all you would know. And even if you're trying to turn good, at least one little thing can happen and you can just revert back to the way you were before. So you got to be very careful, like the way the mind works, like these things. And like I said with R. Kelly, not saying R. Kelly is a child pedophile. No, he's not. He's not going to go after little girls like these people trying to make you sound like he's the kind of person that's going to go and get a 2 year old or a 3 year old or a 4, 5, 6, 7, a girl, even a 13, 14, 15, 16 year old child, and do some, essay to them. You know what I'm saying? Essay a little child. No, he's not functioning on that level of young. You know what I'm saying? As young of his women. He's going to be with a woman that's at least at the age that he is now, at least in her 30s. And I always said that because they're going to be, but a 30-year-old can also be over advanced with R. Kelly's mind, because these 30-year-olds that might have finished high school, was a great student in school and everything, and pretty much had a pretty grounded life, will be more advanced over R. Kelly. So he have to get a 30-something-year-old, like somebody like Joycelyn. She's perfect for R. Kelly. Maybe it could have been Azrael, but because she's close to that age too as well, because when all of this took place, yeah, she was 22 years old, or 21, 22. She's close to 30 now, and Joy is already in her 30s. So you look at the timing of all of these events that had happened and taken place. R. Kelly was already functioning in his mind like a 20-year-old. That's why it was hard for him to be with a woman who was so advanced you know, mentally advanced. That would have drove him crazy because she would have more tried to be like his mother than more on the level of his, you could say, his equal. She would more try to be advanced. She would probably act more like if she's his mother. And it happens in society, and it happens. I'm not saying he's functioning on the mindset of a man that is a SA person if he likes younger women because he feel that they can probably be more on his level. You understand? On his level of thinking, on his level, his views, and everything else of that, on that, in that nature. So even though you got some 50-year-olds that can deal with him, he'd probably take a 50-year-old as long as they could both meet on the same level on their mindset. So anyway, let's go into this video because it's going to be running late and I have to do what I have to do for myself today. So here we go. This channel, I'm coming to you with Poetic Flacco. Poetic Flacco. So I'm not trying to say that, I'm not trying to put this video out here saying R. Kelly is a pedophile. You know, no, he's not a pedophile. He's never been a pedophile. I'm just trying to make sense with age ain't nothing but a number. Let's not put Aaliyah in this, please, because she's dead and gone, and let's show some respect. You know, let's not say, oh, like I said, at that time, when R. Kelly came into the industry, he was about 19 years of age. So right there, he was functioning at a level of maybe even a 15-year-old boy. So let's go.
Accusing prison officials of conspiring to murder him. And this is not just a lunatic, crazy conspiracy with no facts to back it up. Oh, there's facts. And I pulled some additional paperwork that they don't want nobody to see. Because once you pull the documents, you begin to quickly figure out this isn't a crazy conspiracy. There should be a criminal.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I had to turn that off. I'm saying cognitively. Cognitively, R. Kelly is functioning right now. He's functioning in the age, the mindset of maybe a 30-year-old man. I would say about 30-something-year-old. That's where his mindset is. Cognitively, as his age increase, how he will increase with how he will be functioning cognitively. He's on the level of a 30-something-year-old man because of his educational background and how old he was when he did come into the world of entertainment, of the music and entertainment world. He didn't come in here when he graduated from college and he was a college student and he was able to do all of these things as he grew into his manhood. Just put it that way. Let's go on.
Investigation. We got the documents, people, and it ties everything together. R. Kelly was found guilty on CP charges as well as running a criminal organization that trafficked multiple women. These allegations are very serious. So by no means is this video me co-signing R. Kelly or trying to prove that R. Kelly is innocent on those charges. This video is strictly to address the conspiracy that prison officials tried to hire two men to murder R. Kelly. I got wind of the allegations earlier this morning while I was half asleep. I woke up froggy, couldn't even believe what I was seeing. But R. Kelly's attorney held a press conference where he invited multiple news outlets and he dropped the bombshell that they are accusing prison officials of hiring white supremacists to try to kill R. Kelly.
Attorneys are asking President Donald Trump to release their client immediately, saying prison officials have hired an inmate to murder him. Kelly is serving a 30-year sentence for sexual misconduct at a federal prison in North Carolina. Today, Kelly's legal team filed an emergency motion in Chicago federal court to get him out. They say they have a sworn affidavit from a terminally ill inmate who says prison officials offered him freedom in his final days in exchange for Kelly's murder.
There have been discussions not only with Michael Stein, but as the motion indicates, we've recently received information from another inmate named Mr. Harris. And Mr. Harris has indicated that he too has been approached by the same lieutenant who's been approaching Michael Stein. and that discussions have been had about poison in the food hall, about poison in the commissary. Discussions with Mr. Stein have been had about stabbings. These are the kinds of methods that have been discussed.
2 prisoners have came forward and confirmed that prison officials attempted to lure them in the conspiracy to murder R. Kelly. R. Kelly and his attorney is also claiming that they're trying to now get him out the paint. They're trying to murder him due to the ongoing investigation and civil suit he has against prison officials. So R. Kelly is uncovering a lot of illegal things that prison officials did during his racketeering case. Now, some of these things could land them in jail. It could very well land them in prison. And this isn't, from my perspective, an investigation where it could possibly find some illegal things. No, this investigation will for sure 100% find illegal activities that prison officials engaged in against R. Kelly, and they're almost for certain gonna go to jail over this.
Attorneys for singer R. Kelly are asking for his immediate release from prison, claiming that federal officials plotted to have him killed. He is serving a 30-year sentence for racketeering and sex trafficking. In an emergency filing today, his attorneys outlined what they called a cover-up.
These are people who seek to kill Mr. Kelly rather than allow the corrupt criminal conduct of those who manufactured his convictions be exposed.
Their motion alleges that the feds solicited a convicted sex trafficker who was Kelly's cellmate here in Chicago to steal correspondence between Kelly and his attorneys. They further claim the Bureau of Prisons transferred a leader of the white supremacist group to Kelly's prison in North Carolina with instructions to kill Kelly.
R. Kelly has an open and shut case against the government, and right now they're working in overtime to try to prevent the details from coming out. R. Kelly was officially charged with running a criminal organization. It was a racketeering, a RICO case, where his criminal organization conspired and used systems to violate women. The charges when it comes to each victim is pretty much the same across the board. They would accuse R. Kelly of putting together a team and a system that would transport women, and he would solicit them for sexual favors. Some got paid, which is trafficking, and then others, they would claim that R. Kelly will coerce them and force himself upon them, and some they would claim were really young, so they couldn't consent, and that's an additional charge. But a racketeering case is very hard to prove. And when the feds looked at their case and they seen that they were trying to call victims from like 2009 and 8, they realized they needed more. They needed to turn one of R. Kelly's active girlfriends against them. Because one of the girlfriends, Israel Clary, the feds believed that R. Kelly got with her when she was really young because they spoke to her family, and the family confirmed that R. Kelly got with her when she was 17, right? I can't say the actual age due to YouTube guidelines, but she was 17 when they got together. So the feds knew that Israel Clary was like a gold mine. If they can get Israel Clary to come to court and testify that R. Kelly coerced her, forced himself upon her, gave her diseases, right? Yo, this is like the perfect textbook victim. Got with R. Kelly at 17, been with R. Kelly for about 5 years now, and R. Kelly kidnapped her at some point. R. Kelly gave her an incurable disease at some point. R. Kelly forced himself upon her. R. Kelly would violate her. They needed to turn Israel Clary against R. Kelly, but she wouldn't budge. When R. Kelly got arrested, she was right by his side. She was even doing interviews with Gayle King defending R. Kelly.
Didn't I say that in my last video? I said when she first went to the Gayle King platform during that time when R. Kelly was under attack to defend R. Kelly, she was being pure in her heart and she was telling the truth until she was able to get flipped by these evil so-called federal agents that were working for the feds for their time out of prison to flip her so that they can have something on R. Kelly, because they didn't have anything on R. Kelly. They had no evidence of any of these things being true, of him taking advantage of these girls, these women, when he was with them. Yes, he did admit on that platform with Gayle King. These were some of them was his girlfriends at some point, but things didn't work out with us, so I was done with it. I was done with it. When things don't work out, I was done with it. And then he told them these were all lies these people were saying, because none of this was true. Everybody went through some relationship where things just did not go further because y'all wasn't meeting on the same terms with things. And the way they probably was treating R. Kelly, like R. Kelly was like, why y'all looking for men to save y'all instead of looking for God up above? You know, like, he got his own struggles he's dealing with. I got my own problems. I'm good to you when I can be good to you, but there's sometimes I'm going through something in life, and sometimes y'all not even trying to be there for me, even if you could be there for me emotionally. You know, give me that emotional support. That's what he's saying, because sometimes men, they fall weak too. They sometimes going through some things and troubles in their life, and the world is on their shoulders, and they need you to lift them up and give them some support. They can't always be there for you. All they want is money, 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 money. But what about his emotional needs? And this is what he's trying to say. And some women don't have that to give. They just be like, nigga, you know you're going to give me some money. I don't want to hear all of that. Be a man. You know, like, that's selfish. They centered around themselves. They spoiled. They selfish, and they don't take what he's going through in consideration. Even though he's R. Kelly, and he needs some love sometimes too. He needs sometimes people to show him some genuine love, and that's what anybody. We all need love sometimes. We all sometimes want to give something to somebody, but we need that emotional support as well. Sometimes we get drained. We get exhausted with sometimes the attacks on our lives. So this is what I'm saying. So some of these women that was just really around him at the time they came around him, and maybe he might have found interest in some of them in some sort of kind of way. But then when he was going through those times of his life, they became very selfish, just like his ex-wife Drea. You know, this was the most important time of his life that Drea could have done something. But she was selfishly thinking about herself getting in the spotlight, herself getting a name out there that she's R. Kelly's wife, and all these other things that she was saying about him. You know, you signed up for Drea to be a wife to a superstar. You know there was going to be troubles ahead of his life and everything. So that was the wrong move to make, Drea, to go to the public and say these horrible things about your husband. Whether y'all had a family together, y'all had children together, and what this was going to happen to his children's lives. I would have been, if you was protecting your children, you should have been protecting him as well. You should have been trying to keep your family together. Now that's all done and over with. He done moved on, like I said, and he found new love and true love. And I truly believe that R. Kelly really going to make it this time in his marriage to his wife. And I'm going to claim it right now. Joy. I like Joy. She's a nice young Southern belle. And she ain't as ratchet and crazy and ghetto. She took R. Kelly's feelings into consideration. She even came in front of the media. She came on social media, whatever, when they was trying to, you know, set her up and trying to make it sound like she was saying some horrible things about R. Kelly on this Patreon account, and they had to shut it down because it wasn't her. It was identity fraud behind the scene that was doing that, to make it sound like that was really happening. But she came out and she came and showed who she was, and she said, look, I will never betray him. Okay, she let it be known, and she went about her business, and we saw no more of her ever again. No more, you know, interviews with her, no, nothing with her. Because she just said, and she came out there passionately and said she was not trying to turn against R. Kelly, and R. Kelly she's going to always be loyal to R. Kelly, her loyalty to R. Kelly, except for this other one. Because she was just selfish, and she spoiled, and she was young and spoiled and selfish, and she needed to take her little behind home and do it and rebuild where she left off at. And if her music career meant that much to her, she could have found another way. Okay? She didn't have to go on a campaign of trying to destroy his image, or his already destroyed his image, and just try to, you know, finish him up, like really finish him up. She was an evil little tyrant. Okay? So let's go back to what this video was saying. I just wanted to put my you know, say so in it.
Telling Gayle King that her family was only trying to extort R. Kelly for money, which is why they told the fans that R. Kelly did all those things he did to her.
My parents knew where I have always been for 4 years. They have known. They know that I've been well taken care of.
They never thought you were missing, Azrael. They just were wondering if you were okay.
Well, my parents have actually came to Chicago and seen me a few times. I've talked to them. They stopped answering my calls.
You know what they say? They say that you were brainwashed. I talked to your dad last night. He says, my daughter is brainwashed, and he's very concerned. He said he was here 2 days ago, and you wouldn't even look him in the eye.
Okay, I wouldn't look him in the eye because he's a liar, and he's a manipulative liar.
I'll tell you why they're concerned, Azrael, because they say she's 17. We found text messages that indicated that she was having sex with R. Kelly when she was 17. Is that true?
No, that is a lie. That is a lie. I was not having sex with him at 17.
Why would they want to lie about you, their daughter?
Okay, so when I first met Robert, my parents told me to lie about my age. So when I met him, he thought that I was 18. On top of that, when I was 17, my parents were actually making me, trying to get me to take photos with him, take actual videos with him, all kinds of stuff.
Wait. Your parents encouraged you to do videos with R. Kelly?
Yes. And they said because if they ever have to blackmail him, what they're trying to do now, they can use it against him, which is exactly what they're doing.
Joycelyn, I see you nodding a lot with what she's saying. Why are you nodding in agreement with what she's saying?
Because everything that she's saying is true. Our parents are basically out here just to get money and
your parents, you're saying the same as saying?
Well, both our parents are basically out here to trying to get money and scam because they didn't agree on what happened, with music or wherever it could be, and they're just very upset.
This is the first time hearing, to be honest with you, that you're...
Israel was holding it down. She was not giving up R. Kelly, but the feds knew she was a slam dunk case. They got records that her and R. Kelly met when she wasn't of age. They got records that R. Kelly gave her herpes. This was a slam dunk case. If they can get Israel's testimony on top of the records they have, R. Kelly is done. So the feds began to work on a plan to get her to flip. When R. Kelly went to jail, him and Jocelyn, after some time, the other girlfriend, they fell apart. Israel was the main girl, and she was under the perception that she was the only girl. Jocelyn moved out of R. Kelly's house. Israel was the only one in the house. She was under the perception that her and R. Kelly was now in a monogamous relationship. The feds knew this. And the feds also had access to R. Kelly's jail records. So they knew that R. Kelly was cheating on Israel while in prison. But the feds can't just blast the records, because they were hoping you blast the records, let her know R. Kelly is cheating on her. She becomes so hurt that now she wants to retaliate against R. Kelly. But the feds can't just take R. Kelly's paperwork and post it themselves. So the feds began to devise a plan with prison officials to where they can get the information that R. Kelly is cheating on Israel out to the public, so Israel can turn to R. Kelly. So federal correctional officers began to contact Tasha K. Now, Tasha K is my GOAT, so no Tasha K slander will be tolerated in the comment section. Y'all be kind. This is my GOAT. So federal correctional officers began to contact Tasha K, feeding her information about R. Kelly's jail records. They gave her emails. They gave her visitor logs. They gave Tasha K dozens and dozens and dozens of information regarding R. Kelly that are supposed to be unaccessible information. This is not information available to the public and would never be available to the public.
Him to get on live to say that Azrael is not right in R. Kelly, really? Now, I gave him R. Kelly's jail records. Ask him how he got R. Kelly's jail records. Ask him how I got the emails between Azrael and R. Kelly. So you
see the justice system, or the courts really took advantage of R. Kelly. He, like I said, he was an easy target because he wasn't functioning. He wasn't on no high level of education. Yes, he was gifted and talented with music and everything, because that's what lived in him, and that's something that craft he worked on since he'd been very young. So that was a very easy thing for them to do, to take down R. Kelly. They knew already the type of age group of woman he enjoyed being around, because he was that age in his mind himself. But they knew how to set it up. And they knew how to make it believable to a lot of people in the public, to make them really believe R. Kelly was a serial pedo, okay? Which he wasn't. Because if he did do all that was supposed to be done to make sure these women ages were legit, and they were getting fake IDs. They used fake IDs from the government. These government agencies that was a part of the corruption. They were able to get them the underground people that had connection with people that worked for the government that were able to get them fake IDs. Just like we see now with the ICE raids going on, how they raided a motor vehicle, Department of Motor Vehicles, that's a government agency. And they had people that worked there that knew how to get people fake IDs, driver's license. Fake ID driver's license. People do it all the time in America. America's got a lot of underground corruption going on. People get into work in these agencies and then they do all these underground things, and work with some people from places like in the streets. They work with these gangsters or whatever. And it happens. So none of these women telling their testimonies should have been believable, and the government know that. The courts knew that. But maybe they just needed to a little bit more investigations, a little bit more time to investigate. That's why it's going on now. Now they got more evidence that R. Kelly is innocent. And this was all a setup. It was an organized crime setup to take R. Kelly down behind his music. And that's what anybody, any of us, no matter where you work, whatever you do, you could be innocent among anything and you could get caught up in the mess. That's why I say it's so important to always keep praying and ask for protection over your life. Because we walking around danger every day. We working around danger every day. So let's go on.
Mean to tell me I don't know what the talking about? I ain't got no beef with that man at all, okay?
That's Tasha K letting Ezra Clary's father know that she got the jail records of Ezra Clary and R. Kelly emails. Now, Tasha K will go on her show and she would reveal the emails between the other girlfriend, Jocelyn, and R. Kelly.
I got some powerful information for y'all tonight regarding this, okay? I got people up there in Cook County. Shout out to my Cook County winos, okay? They work for government. Anyway, okay. So remember I told y'all Azrael had left? She's gone. Azrael is with her pappy. She's with her daddy, okay? Yes, Azrael is gone. But she's still not gone mentally. When you're with somebody that long, she's with this man since she was, and now that he's gone away, she has a lot more time to think. But the other one doesn't have a lot of time to think, because let me tell you, her and R. Kelly be in communication all day. Okay, now right now he ain't got no more minutes on his phone. He can't call her, so they, literally emailing and shit. So let me share some shit with you. Hold on. Okay, these are actual conversations between them. I'm not gonna put it up here because this is considered like somebody's private information or whatever. But my word, trust me. And let me tell you, for those of y'all, I honestly thought that R. Kelly could not read or write. But obviously he can't. Well, no, he can't really read because...
That's true, though. There's a lot of language that is written in documents and on certain things that people just ain't going to take time out to read because they don't understand all of that stuff. Some things, but you be sometimes in a desperate situation. You ain't going to go home and you in desperate of a loan and some money and you're going to sit down and take your time to read every part of that document that they give you, like the disclaimer or whatever. It sometimes just be like, oh, okay, let me just sign this. And then you don't even know what you're signing, but you signing certain things that you didn't even read. And even your attorneys didn't read. They just say, oh, these are just the legal documents that we need you to sign so that this will whatever. The same thing probably happened to him in the music industry. He was a young man coming up in the music industry. He really didn't have that high level of education. So a lot of things he read in those documents he couldn't understand. He says, look, once I make this money, I get paid. But he didn't know what he was signing over to. He had nobody protecting him. Nobody protected him. No relative, no nothing. His brothers were just as dingbats as he was. Because, like I said, poverty growing up in poverty and limited of education, these are the things that can happen to you. So you learn through experience. So now that he's been through experience like this, I think R. Kelly will sit down and while he's been spending time away incarcerated, he's probably been reading a whole lot of stuff and didn't know, wow, this is what they did to me. You know what I'm saying? He's probably had this time, he took some of his time to read, even though he probably still was a little like mind blockage due to the fact that all his concentrating on all he was going through and trying to figure it out. But he probably met some people in there that sat down and read to him and they was high profile criminals or whatever that know how to help him out. Because all he knew how to basically read and to read the word of God, the Bible, which we all should have a relate. That's why I said some people, they don't, if you don't have a relationship with the Lord, you know, in this world, you just going to be caught up in a whole lot of mess. If you don't give your life to Christ, it's a beautiful thing. And it's supposed to be given to you from the time you enter this world. You innocent and pure when you first enter this world, but this world is full of evil because some people been through some experiences. Those are the things that we have to take into consideration. Some people don't believe in doing that, bringing children into the world and just dropping them off here. But one thing you should bring your children up is in the Lord. Take them to church, watch over their life, even watch over their life while they're in church. You don't send your kids by themselves. You take your kids yourself to the Sunday school. My mother used to send, well, it was a lot of us, so I had older brothers and sisters, so I had somebody, if anybody would do anything in the church to me, they could tell my mommy or they could defend me. But a lot of people didn't have that opportunity. Some people didn't have that. And some parents, they caught up in their mess just sending their kids off to be in a church thinking these people in the church are true Christians. And don't know they struggling with some demons themselves. Some of them are pedophiles. And they could be the man up on the pulpit. We all saw that. So you should be able to go to church with your children so you can see that whoever you entrusted around your children, it's safe. Even with relatives. So I'm just saying that if you don't know, you walking in danger. Some of us is just going to learn as we go along. And that's what happened to R. Kelly. He learned as he went along to be careful about the people he keep around him in his space. Those kind of people you attach yourself to in your circle of friends. You have to be careful just because they live in so fast and they got this and that. And you might in the same entertainment world with them, but they might be doing some things that you're not about. And that's what he found out. That's why he wasn't riding with Diddy and Jay-Z and them like that. No, he was just there to make music, collaborate music with them. There wasn't no real friendship going on or whatever. So people want to attach him to this Diddy shit because he's in the world of entertainment. That's not all. Everybody in the entertainment don't know what's going on. Some of them are there just like anybody else with their job, on their job. So anyway, let's go on.
She's asking him. I'll read it to you. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Hold on real quick. Hit the wine glass if y'all having a good time. Hit the goddamn wine glass. I'm not going to read all of them to you because it's really hard to read R. Kelly's part. But let me show you what the dynamic is like and how he's talking to them. But like I said, they don't talk to each other, Joycelyn and Azriel. So for Azriel to find out that he was calling Joycelyn the same names, even though they call him daddy, both of them, but he doesn't talk.
Don't Monique call her husband daddy? Every time Monique talks, she said daddy. That's a sentimental type of thing. It's like some way we talk to each other. A lot of women do that. Just because they call him daddy doesn't necessarily mean that's their daddy. Like he controlling them like a father. No, that's just some things, my boo, my daddy, what's going on, daddy? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to say it, but y'all know what she's saying here. And, Tasha K is trying to make it really sound like it's some kind of perversion or whatever thing going on. She's making it more perverted to the audience that's listening because at this time they wanted to take R. Kelly down and they wanted to keep that stigma on his name. So let's go on.
I mean, it's really... Hold on. Okay. All right, so Let me get my little glasses on. Hope y'all ready. Exclusive here on Unwind with Tasha K. Robert Sylvester Kelly, 11/11/2019, 7:34:29 p.m. wrote hi, but he spelled hi, H-A-I. How are you? Now he's typing, okay? And then Joycelyn comes back and says, hey, Daddy, I'm doing good. I really need you to call me as soon as possible. He read that.
Oh, now Ezra, who had no intentions on testifying against R. Kelly or cooperating against R. Kelly, goes in a fit of rage as she hears R. Kelly calls his other woman the same nicknames that he calls her. R. Kelly is talking to this woman as if she's the main chick, as if Ezra means nothing to him. Now, Ezra is hearing all of this from the public. So the Fed's mission is complete. They was able to get that information out fast in a hurry, and they was able to enrage Israel. But I don't even think the Feds knew like the level of crash out that Ezra was gonna do. So Ezra began to go in full crash out mode, bruh. Begin to become R. Kelly's biggest headache and biggest op. She contacted Gayle King back for a second interview to expose R. Kelly and to retract all the nonsense she said in the first interview defending R. Kelly. She went on live crashing out, accusing the girlfriend of being involved with her when she was of an illegal age.
Here, take everything else. What's yours? What's yours? What you want to take? You can take all this shit but sweats. Here, I'm gonna help you out. Oh, he don't like that. He don't like men. You just told on your own boyfriend. You just told on your own boyfriend. You like grown men in here. That's disrespectful, Zell. You know that's wrong. You know that's wrong. This is his house.
You see how Azarel is doing it so evil, and she's just saying, like Joycelyn saying, he don't want these men in here, these grown men coming in here, these strangers coming into his home, and you bringing them into his house. But she's saying, oh, he don't like men. He don't like men, you know, like making it sound like a homosexual thing. You see how she trying to flip it around? Because this is how she was trying to build her case.
You disrespectful. You're so evil. I'm not evil, baby. I need to protect myself. I need to protect myself. Joy, you been sleeping with me. It's a fight.
And those men she was bringing in there was those were those feds, you know, those undercover feds and Larry McGee. Those were the people that Azarel brought in there when she went on this attack on Joycelyn.
That's assault. Got it online. I know how to fight. It's nothing. Fighting at the Trump. Go ahead. That's assault.
Oh, Lord. The feds did a number, man. The feds got this chick so upset, man. She tell it on everybody.
Didn't I just say that? That was the feds. She brought them in so that they could be witnesses and also, like, for her to build her case. Because remember when they sat on the stand, she started talking about somebody that she had to perform a sexual whatever with R. Kelly and a man, that he was a slave, a sex slave or whatever of R. Kelly's. This is how she was trying to build it up on that trial she was in New York. And this is crazy, y'all, because first of all, that's how you knew the trial was legit, illegit. It wasn't legal because she was there in New York and then he had a trial in Chicago. So why wasn't she on the trial in Chicago and not the trial in New York? Make it make sense. Her and the other one, Rashonda Landfair, and the other one that was in the New York trial. Rashonda was in the Chicago, but R. Kelly didn't meet Azarel in New York. The trial should take place wherever these incidents supposed to have taken place. It wasn't in New York. She was in Chicago. She was living with R. Kelly in Chicago. And she met R. Kelly in Florida. So make it make sense.
Bruh. Not only telling on R. Kelly, which if R. Kelly did these things, she should have told on him because you are nasty. But she's also telling on the girlfriend, say, hey, bruh.
The only one of those girls that was in that trial with R. Kelly in New York that had probably met him in New York was Faith Rogers. But the rest of them all was from Chicago. So why did they have to trial him in New York and then trial him in Chicago? And the same girls weren't on trial with him in the Chicago trial. And they was supposed to have met R. Kelly in Chicago. Even the one, what is her name again? Oh my God, the one that was stalking him when he was in that trial from New York. She was stalking. I mean, that trial in Chicago, I'm sorry. In that 2004 to 2008 trial, she was Rashonda Landfair. It was Rashonda Landfair that was doing the stalking. Or was it not Rashonda Landfair? What was her name? It'll come back to me. Let's go on.
You was with me too. You was with me too when it wasn't legal. What you talking about? So she's telling on everybody. That's how upset she is because she found out this information. She even went on Gayle King and did a tell-all, retracting all the positive things she said about R. Kelly and about how her parents were lying.
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, most of the audience of people that was probably following all of this stuff that was taking place were young. They wasn't even there. They wasn't even thinking about coming in the world when all this happened. But of course they're going to believe it because of the simple fact this is what what was told to them about R. Kelly and about his music when people listened, because of those who lived through when this stuff had taken place were telling them. Their parents were the same age as R. Kelly now, and their parents were telling them about R. Kelly in a negative way. So all that negativity is going to stick in them in their head. You see, they didn't truly witness none of this. This is just stuff that was old stories that were told to them. They didn't live through this experience. To be honest with you, they just coming up in the world. They were born to his music. But this is how they wanted to convince people to think that R. Kelly was this kind of man that went around touching little, doing these things to young girls. And then the school stories and the people that were coming out saying all these rumors and lies, and people were believing it. I don't believe it because I lived through the experience with R. Kelly. I've been listening to R. Kelly since R. Kelly first made his first introduction. Since the 90s. I've been listening to R. Kelly. Because me and R. Kelly is about the same age. And we grew up in that certain time period. So, of course, they're going to want to convince the younger audience about these things to make it even more credible and to make themselves have a win-win there. Not the people that grew up listening to his music from the 90s and everything and never believed none of the rumors from the first place, even about the infamous tape that it was R. Kelly in the tape. We all knew it was a setup then. So let's go on.
Trying to extort R. Kelly, she walked it all back and told the real.
Really glad to see you again because I wasn't sure I'd ever get to talk to you again.
I'm very happy to be here and see you again as well.
It feels like a full circle moment to me. When we first met Azriel Clary in March of 2019, she had been living with R. Kelly for almost 5 years and was one of his fiercest supporters.
Because you guys don't know the truth. You guys believe in some facade that our parents are saying. This is all lies for money.
Clary and another woman, Joycelyn Savage, told us then that they were in a relationship.
You listen, she's using the word woman. She didn't say Clary and another young girl. You called them women. And that's just exactly who they were. They were women.
With the embattled R&B singer. But Clary left the apartment she shared with Kelly in Chicago 7 months after our interview.
I was lost and I felt invisible, and I gave someone that control over me to basically make me do whatever.
The people she gave control over her was the people who got in her head and started manipulating things, and that was Larry McGee and the feds. It wasn't R. Kelly. Because at the time you got with R. Kelly, it was your parents that was the ones that was coercing you and that was alluring you and that was pushing you on R. Kelly. when you were only 17 years old. This is what you told in your first interview, which was the truth. It was your parents. They knew where you were at, and then they also try to extort R. Kelly for money.
Was that they wanted me to do and act however they wanted me to act.
During R. Kelly's trial, she testified that he began her when she was just 18 years old. At the time of the interview with us, were you afraid when you were sitting there talking to us?
I was. He did his interview first.
I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this.
He came in and he told us to be angry and be upset, and she's gonna try to do this and you gonna.
Oh, he told you that?
Yes, and so we came in angry.
So he told you be angry?
Yes, and
She testified that around that same age that he gave her herpes without letting her know that he had it, which he was legally required to do. So she pretty much cooked R. Kelly on that stand, and we know the story, bruh. R. Kelly ultimately went to jail based off of her testimony, to be honest. R. Kelly is sitting back as this is playing out, as he gets found guilty, he's convicted, he goes to jail. He's sitting back like, yo, this is not fair. I was railroaded. How is this allowed? Y'all released my information to get her to turn on me. This is like witness tampering, right? It has to be. So R. Kelly went on Vlad TV and he broke down, yo, they're doing an investigation to locate who the BOP officers are, how they were able to access his information, and
See what I'm saying? The feds working with the feds, okay? The BOP officer is a federal agent. You working in a federal prison or you working in a federal job anyway, you are going to get caught for what you did, and you are going to be brought to justice for doing something criminal in the criminal justice system.
he will say, yo, what they uncovered is shocking, and that this was a conspiracy to get him in jail.
Back in 2019, while I was being held in the BOP at the MCC in Illinois, a BOP federal disciplinary hearing officer, which is like the judge in the Bureau of Prisons. She's a judge.
Vlad TV.
She was illegally accessing my federal restricted law enforcement information, my jail records, meaning my recorded phone calls and my emails. Not only did she, not only did the officer illegally access my restricted information,
Vlad
but
TV.
she accessed it 153 different times during the course of 6 months while I was being detained here. This is all according to a search warrant. This is not me saying this. This is what the search warrant says that was executed on the BOP officer after she had done it.
Vlad TV.
This BOP officer, whom they are identifying as Officer A for the last 4 years, she was not arrested. She still hasn't been arrested, and we still don't even know who she is. She tore off every corner of each
Vlad
page
TV.
where the dates and times would be, and illegally sent my jail records to her own personal Gmail account. This is all according to the search.
And Vlad TV is also a federal agency. It's a fed. Those are the undercover feds that work on these YouTube channels, on the lives of these entertainers when they in any kind of legal trouble. This platform, the Vlad platform, and TMG, all of them work in investigating on people who's on some legal criminal charges that work on these platforms. That's why I say people, you out here saying things on people platforms and don't know who they are. They're federal. They run by the feds. They run by the government. And they are the ones to get people to come out there and make testimonies. And they use this even during their trials. They're federal agents.
But she didn't stop there. BOP Officer A then gave
Vlad TV.
that 6 months worth of my federal restricted information to a female.
And notice that you never see the person's face who's asking the questions on Vlad TV. It's always your face and not their face. So you don't know who they are to identify who they are. And not only are they on Vlad TV platform, but they on a lot of platforms here on YouTube.
Famous female, and very influential YouTube blogger by the name of Tasha K, who not only
Vlad TV.
illegally received my restricted federal law enforcement information, but the blogger Tasha K stated out of her own mouth on her Unwind with Tasha K.
Me, I'm just a fan, and I just took interest in R. Kelly because I love me some R. Kelly. I've been growing up in his music since the time, like I said, he made his introduction. I always enjoyed listening to R. Kelly. I enjoy his stories. I enjoy his work. I admire his work. And it broke me to the core of my heart for these people for what they did to R. Kelly. Trying to destroy something that I enjoyed growing up. Even with Michael Jackson, oh my God, I can tell you, because I grew up with Michael Jackson in my home as a little girl, listening to the Jackson 5. That's when he was Jackson 5, and as he was growing in his music and in his art, I loved him all the way to, and then to this day, I still look back on my life with listening to Michael Jackson. And mostly Jackson 5. I'm more of a Jackson 5 girl because it was like my home was full of a whole lot of my siblings. So we enjoyed listening to the Jackson 5 growing up. So we grew up with these people. We wasn't in any close contact with them, but we grew up with them. We admired them.
YouTube blog that she shared that restricted information with my girlfriend at the time, who after seeing it,
Vlad TV.
who after seeing that information got very, very mad at me to the point she scorned and became the government's main star witness in my New York case, testifying against me.
Vlad TV.
Now, those federal restricted phone calls and emails contain 6 months worth of lovey-dovey conversations between me and my other girlfriend at the time. And their plan was to get the girl,
Vlad TV.
the girlfriend who Tasha K showed those conversations to, mad enough so they could turn.
And if something happened to R. Kelly, it's like you could forget about music, period. Because his stories are amazing. And he leaves you with great memories of your life in his stories, in his music. His music is go from generation to generation, especially for my generation, of what was taking place in those time events. And he's not like these ratchet other music artists that are out here, no respect. They don't even respect the Lord. And R. Kelly, he ain't gonna step out of his boundaries. When it comes to inspirational Christian music, R. Kelly, he got that sold out. Because he wrote for a whole lot of artists. He wrote a lot for a lot of artists that for the gospel. And look at what they had done on the BET gospel. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. It was nothing about these people that glorified the Lord. It was nothing about them that glorified the Lord to be even shaming Jesus Christ like that. If it was R. Kelly said, this ain't going to even happen. This wouldn't have even happened. They would never gotten a music award in gospel for the way they represent the Lord, you know? Because he's the only one that can really save this world through music, because music is universal. And it could touch every generation. And it helps, and it influences a lot of generations. Let's go on. Because what they listening to now ain't nothing but Satan music. It's really demonic to me. It's too demonic. And a lot of people was like saying, but they killed Biggie, they killed it. You know they're going to tell. I said, but with R. Kelly, it's a different thing. Because R. Kelly wasn't sending messages to the world about gang violence and killing cops and doing things of that nature. No, R. Kelly never had said anything influence young people to go out here and be disobedient or disrespectful to the police. And if you listen and said anything against his his country. He never said anything bad about America. He even sat and sung the American anthem. And he was always an American patriotic person to set an example for the American culture here. So these other rappers and things, I'm sorry to say, they were disrespectful. They curse out women. They called women names. They were very militant. They was on this like F the police and saying songs like that, influencing young people to be to disobey the law. They was singing those kind of messages out into the world. But R. Kelly's messages were not like theirs. To be disrespectful to their parents. R. Kelly was not that type of storyteller. He didn't influence children to do that. He didn't influence the young generations to do that, the young people to do that. That's why people love him so much. And that's why God favored him.
Her against me and have her say whatever they wanted her to say about me on the stand.
R. Kelly files an official lawsuit against the United States of America, the unknown BOP officer, because, here's the corrupt part. The prison and the government is still protecting the BOP officer. They're not revealing the identity of who handed over R. Kelly's information to Tasha K. And he's also suing the unknown John and Jane Doe BOP officers and also Tasha K. He's suing Tasha K. R. Kelly's rights was allegedly violated in 2019. It's been 6 years, and the government still hasn't turned over who the BOP officers were that accessed R. Kelly's record to give to Tasha K. That's how you know they in collusion, bro. That's how you know this was the work of the government themselves, bro. Because why they protecting the officers? More times than not, bro, you fire those officers and you put them out to dry. Y'all broke the law. Y'all got to go to jail. But the officers, not only have they not been, suspended, apprehended, they haven't been arrested, investigate. Their names not even available yet. R. Kelly just requested, we'll get there shortly, okay? So what exactly is R. Kelly suing the government and Tasha K for? Let's go to the official lawsuit.
And these same wicked agencies in the government even try to come for the president. They went and raided President Trump's house. This is in Mar-a-Lago. That's when that thing's supposed to have taken place with these so-called Aryans or these AKK members, the supremacists, that infiltrated themselves into the MAGA, and they went and stormed the White House. I mean, not the White House, I'm sorry, the Capitol. So these are the kind of people, just like the people that try to take out President Trump behind political violence and political terrorism. The same people that's doing the same thing behind R. Kelly's music. That's why they say they got to talk to Donald Trump. And he's going to have to answer to it because this stuff is pertaining to him too. Because they try to set him up with a whole lot of nonsense and make him feel attached to the people that broke the law going into the Capitol. And because he pardoned them, that's why it's not fair if he pardoned these people and not pardon R. Kelly. Because these people did a whole lot worse than what R. Kelly did of committing the federal crimes that they committed, of storming the Capitol and doing the things that they did. And these are the people that infiltrated themselves in the MAGA. MAGA is not everybody in MAGA, like I said, are racist white supremacists. These people infiltrators. These are infiltrators. And they try to set up the president of the United States of America. They try to set Donald Trump up.
R. Kelly would allege that the government permitted at least 60 correctional officers to make unauthorized access to R. Kelly's sensitive information on the TrueView system, resulting in the sharing or sale of this information to third parties, including media and witnesses in R. Kelly's criminal prosecution. Now, according to R. Kelly, August of 2022, they failed to prevent an unauthorized access by an unknown correctional officers to R. Kelly TrueView records, leading to the leak of trust fund information to a Washington Post journalist, which resulted in the DOJ confiscating over $25,000 from R. Kelly's prison trust account. As for Tasha K, he's just suing her for disseminating the information. Now, in a YouTube video titled R. Kelly Can't Trust His Girlfriends While Behind Bars, he would claim that Tasha K disclosed a private information call from R. Kelly's prison calls with Jane Doe and JS obtained from a phone.
Okay, everybody, I gave you this much of the video. I'm only going to go halfway with you due to the fact that I have to get out of here and time is running down, and this is kind of going to be a long video. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to the channel of Poetic Flacco. If you need to have any more information of what more is going on in this video, you could go to his channel. Shout out to him. Thank you so much for your research, and thank you so much for this information, because I do know that these things took place during this time of how they was setting it up for the takedown of Robert Sylvester Kelly, and how Azarel was flipped to fit the narrative, and how she was flipped to build a case against him so that they can arrest, they can sentence R. Kelly, which was to me overreach, overcharge of 30 years. That was just too much, hitting him with a RICO when there shouldn't have been no RICO. Okay, the men don't been there already long enough now. There's time, is enough evidence out there that they wrongfully arrested him, how they violated his constitutional rights, and all these other things that happened to R. Kelly. So you want to go to this channel, Flacco Poetic, and you can go over there and you can get all the rest of this video, because I got to get out of here and I got to get myself together. So you all have a blessed day and be safe, and remember to pray before you leave your home, or pray while you at work. It's for your safety because of all the things that's taking place right now in America.